Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dustin, Berserker Bear, with another episode of Bushwhacking History in Buffalo for you. Today, we are going to be a few different places, all under the Hunter's Moon, or Blood Moon. We'll go over that. I was at the foot of Sheridan, right here. Okay. Hopped over to Grand Island at Beaver's Island, all places I fished from, and then ended off at Niagara Falls. So we're going to read a pretty cool article about what is the Blood Moon or Hunter's Moon real quick, and we'll go over the pictures that I took last night. And I'm going to read from a chapter of this book called Power Places, Niagara Falls, during that when I let the playlist run, and we'll go over some ideas I got. Look at how that's just blocking out. No real grooves necessary. It just blocks where it comes down. Boom. Other ones. We're going to tie that in. Also, I'd like to recommend coming back and checking out my Bushwhacking Buffalo number 34. Play some ideas about the Legoliths limestones. I got a playlist public. Hydraulic presses for breaking stone. We're going to check that out. Shout out to Paul Cook. He's been onto this thing too, and he shouts out Niagara Falls. And I was just there last night. It's very synchronistic, if you will. And giants. Well, sensor giants. So, Bushwhacking Buffalo. Let's go.
They don't have sunsets over the water.
Okay, welcome back. So this is article I found, and it's fitting because the actual chapter I'm going to read from in Shadows of the Western Door is Places of Power. So I end my journey last night. I started at about 3:15, and Tonawanda to Beaver Island, Grand Island, and then ended up at Niagara Falls. Got some cool pictures and some video. So what we'll do is read this article right quick, play the slideshow, read from this, and then we'll get into it. So hope you like it. Between Rocky Mercury retrograde and a supercharged new moon in Libra, October's astrology has been full of intensity. But spooky season's tricks aren't over yet, as the full moon rising on October 20th is bringing the lunar cycle and our emotions to a piercing climax. The October 2021 full moon, aka Hunter's Moon or Blood Moon, is chock full of energy that'll help us stand up for ourselves and take back our power. The spiritual meaning of the Hunter's Moon is about activating our inner warrior as we set forth into the darker half of the year. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to read from this slowly as I play pictures. So I started off The pictures that you see initially are from, again, Tonawanda Sheridan boat launch right here. Right over yonder. And then I end up going to Beaver Island, which is right across the river, right in area that I like to fish from. Parking lot right here. So I'm taking pictures this way, and then I end up at taking some video of Niagara Falls. So let's get into it. I'm going to play the slideshow, and I'm going to read that article, pull this out. We'll go over that later, and then we'll check out some giants. So let's hit slideshow. And I was trying to recreate, matter of fact, let's check it out. Check out my idea. I put forth at about 24:04 on my number 34 Bushwhacking Buffalo. Paul Cook pretty much underlines this stuff too. So, good on him. What was I going to say? In my Buck Moon episode right here, I get a picture of the moon and it looks like a star, and I go over it. I tried to recreate that, or at least catch that in what I was doing last night, but I couldn't. Anyway, don't matter, because still had a good time. It's one of my funnest things to do, is getting out there and doing it under a full moon, even better. So I'll read, and let's start the slideshow. You know what? Let me take my mug off. That's the tree that you see at the foot of Sheridan, right next to that dumpster. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay. Iroquois shaman sacrificed food and goods here. Niagara Falls. The first whites who beheld it merely stood and gaped. The first whites who beheld it stood and gaped. Modern physics say anyone who listens, Iroquois shaman sacrificed food and goods here. The first whites who beheld it merely stood and gaped. Modern psychics say anyone who listens long enough can hear the ancient spirits clearly and well. In Six Nations folklore, the giant snake, their image of Earth Force, by all accounts, figures prominently here. Coming to his epic contretemps with Hino, their thunder being. Like all natural forces, fire, electricity, wind, this one can be negative too. For some people, it's still too much, and too many tempt death leaping over these falls. Goat Island in its shadow was sacred to the Iroquois, who believed the Devil's Hole cavern above the rushing river far off was a haunt of their evil one. Snakes were often seen about this cave mouth, sunning themselves in the legions after a long western door winter. Explorer LaSalle may have been cursed here in 1687 and came later to a bad end. 2 detachments of British troops were massacred by the Iroquois in 1763. Freak accidents happen here, still with a depressing regularity. We've already mentioned the prominence of the Niagara corridor in the UFO cycle. Southern astrologer Steve Nelson points out that waterfalls were sacred all over the world. Natural energy transforms the images of the dissolving process in alchemy. They are purifying in an emotional sense. One reason the falls are so traditional for lovers and newlyweds, their transforming energies can dissolve rigid patterns. either old patterns in lovers' relationships or old patterns of living apart. The mighty falls can be their new beginning. Anyone who doubts the falls' mystique significance should only think of the famed harmonic convergence, almost single-handedly launched by the art historian Jose Arguelles, author of the popular series of books mixing Mayan mysticism into New Age tradition. On August 16, 1987, the planets fell into the shape of a double triangle Star of David. A philosophical Woodstock was declared, a worldwide Vulcan mind melt involving thousands of people aimed at solving the Earth's problems. Certain sites of natural mystery and world-famous religious significance were chosen for the first dawn of the New Age. Among the worldwide elect, Machu Picchu, Peru, the Great Pyramid, Stonehenge, Mount Olympus in Greece, Mount Fuji in Japan, and the banks of the Ganges in India. The fact that Niagara Falls, one of the major power points, was among this august company should be all we need to hear. And I second that notion. I wonder why we're not getting any sound here. I wasn't getting any sound. So this was really cool. When I was down there, not that I was creeped out, but little bit eerie feeling. You know, this is 4 o'clock at night, and I'm right next to the falls, right about here. I'll show you where I was. Walking down this little path right here, okay? And then I end up at this point right here. And what's really cool is when I've been here many times. Not really at night though, where you stop to see it. I've passed by as far as going over the border. Shout out to the Buffalonians who remember the old Daily Planet in Canada. So those buildings right there that you see, that's actually Canada. You're looking over the gorge into Canada. Right now I'm kind of up on a bluff, looking down into it. Man, you'll see where I'm at. Sorry for the blurriness, everybody. It is my camera phone. Thinking about anteing up to a camera, but I don't know. I kind of like the authenticity of like literally just using my phone. So my pocket affords me the ability to hop out and bushwhack, you know. So yeah, that's across the way. That's across the falls, if you will, and we call it the gorge where the falls fall into. Now the falls are created by the Niagara Escarpment, which is a ridge, effectively that kind of rims the entire northern Great Lakes basin. And when I was citing Paul's video, yeah, Paul makes a great point about like where the Angel Falls come from. As far as what supplies Niagara Falls, it's all the Great Lakes system from Superior, Michigan, Huron, and then you got Lake Erie. Lake Ontario was below the river, Niagara River, and Niagara Falls, but the system itself, for the actual falls, is fed by the system of the Great Lakes, everything above the Niagara River, which would be, again, Erie, Michigan, Huron, Superior. Shout out to Gordon Lightfoot, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Great song. Great song. Big fan. So what, again, this kind of creeped me out as far as being right next to it, and it's always constantly a wave like that right over at the top of the falls, and it gets a little bit more eerie as I'm walking up to it. And I didn't expect this effectively for it to be hit me as being like, whoa, look at that. The actual lip, because it was dark, I was getting a little bit of light from the moon. But because it was dark and you can actually see where the edge where it actually lips off and goes into the fall, that was kind of creepy. I think you might see it on this one. I come walking up to it and I'm like, whoa, that's kind of cool to look at, appreciate and everything, but it's like, there goes the abyss. Again, that's Canada, those high rises. Now, if you're gonna go to Niagara Falls, certainly, if you're gonna come into Western New York, certainly go see the falls. We take it for granted here in Buffalo because it's in our backyard. But if you're around, go check it out. And if you can, go to the Canadian side. The Canadian side is the best. You can see the most panoramic view of it, the whole grandiose American side and Canadian side. Here it is. You can actually see it right there where it actually falls off. Very cool. Very creepy. The mist rising up. Now again, this is probably, at the time I was at the falls was 4 o'clock, probably 4 o'clock in the morning last night. So not buck moon, the hunter's moon was last night. It's going to be visible tonight. And I think maybe into the next day as well. There it is. Look at that. I got some more work to do in Niagara Falls, so kind of building a case as to it being an old system, kind of like what Paul says. I mean, I kind of disagree with Paul in the sense that it's all man-made. I think I've addressed that before. That's why I wanted to point out my number 34. Check that out. I definitely feel what he's saying, and we're going to talk about giants too. He's saying that it's all man-made giants. I think that it just, as it rests as the Terra in situ, it could break out into blocks as well from vibration, maybe from vibration from that water falling over it. Maybe from tremors, from earthquakes over time. Not saying that man don't make these big Legoliths also and pour them. I think the plane of the Terra also breaks out into chunks just naturally though. And he posited that question. So some people don't like when I say that because it's like I'm wearing both hats or I'm sitting in a couple different chairs, as some people like to say, especially of the Cossack tribe, whatever. That's why I'm not making any claims, just like Paul says. Definitely think that there's some of them are that could be man-made. But I also think, like I'm going to show you with these videos, if a pressure is applied and the Terra, for example, that's the base or the substrate, which would be granite or even shale or marble, if it's made with no pressure points, if you will, I forget, or any clefts in it, if that's the right word, it breaks out in blocks no matter what. So when pressure is applied with those stone crusher machines, they just block out automatically. So yeah, I think some of it's man-made, some of it's natural block, and then who knows? It's up to your discernment. But we're gonna check it out. I think that's the end. There you go. That's it. There was bushwhacking from the foot of Sheridan to Beaver Island to Niagara Falls. All right, so let's show this again. You see how it just breaks right down into a block right from where he's putting the pressure onto it? Making Legoliths. These guys too. Now you look at this and you might say that I'm providing proof that it's all man-made. I'm like, no, that if it's breaking like that naturally without even having to put any grooves in it, that it would probably do that in situ. So I think the Terra would crack into the blocks in situ as it sits, or if it's getting vibrated from constant water erosion, and another thing I wanted to bring to y'all attention about Niagara Falls before we check out Paul's clip, give him a shout out, is this is the kind of work that I want to do here in Buffalo, or with Niagara Falls. Still putting together a big portfolio on it. That's Bronx Monument in Lewiston, Canadian side, but you can see it.
Tesla is a little bit like this. After all, how many people have actually read the works of Tesla? His notebooks, his patents, his designs, and completely understood all the things that he created? I don't know if that's fair. It's very hypothetical and speculative for me to say that, but there's a reason. So this might sound wild, but I think that alternating current, something discovered by Tesla, was actually something that was rediscovered from a past era. So if you look into the history of Niagara Falls and the Sholkoff Power Station, go look at the old pictures and look at the Sholkoff Power buildings in particular. And I'll tell you what I saw when I looked at the various pictures. You have this old picture which shows all the old industry at the top of the falls. Nice and neatly, the water from the canal was actually used and channeled into these different manufacturing businesses. But here we have a very early picture showing industry and harnessing of the falls. And then only until about supposedly 1905 do these buildings show up. And these buildings, I stand to be corrected, are not in the old pictures. So the other question is, where's photos of construction of the Sholkoff power plant buildings? I can't find them. And these are old buildings. They look like they could even predate 1905. And construction of them, supposing they were built at the beginning of 1905, well, there should be evidence of this. This is a heavily documented, iconic Niagara Falls. I mean, my goodness, there's thousands of pictures of this place. So there should be pictures of construction of these Sholkoff buildings.
Great point.
Now, that would be a pretty amazing sight to see as well, because for these buildings to have been built, that would have been a major engineering feat to construct them. Perhaps to even stop the flow of water to bring down heavy equipment to build these buildings. Concrete forms and rebar and crane, all this kind of stuff. It would have taken years to build these things. So I don't really see evidence showing this. And here's these mysterious pictures of, to start with, you have industry and the Sholkoff buildings are not present. Then this other photographic evidence that suggests these buildings were built in 1905. I'll tell you what I think happened. I'm going to get right to the point. I think it's possible that the Sholkoff buildings at a previous time were buried underneath the rubble at the bottom of the falls. So they were ancient buildings. Then perhaps maybe with heavy equipment, cranes, I don't know, the rubble was removed, and oh my goodness, there's actually buildings under there. And maybe it's from a prehistoric...
Now, y'all might think that that's in contrast to what I was just talking about with Woody, but no, not at all. I'm not talking about Tartarian buildings, not even talking about impossible architecture. I'm talking about buried tunnels, buried. This is all Niagara. Buried civilization on top of civilization on top of civilization. And again, I believe that's what we show in the rocks. Let's keep going with this. The rock layers. Check out my bushwhacking number 34. Rock layers. In your high school textbooks, geology class, you have limestone layers that look like blocks. Is that just showing us civilizations built on top of each other? Check out Paul Cook. He's doing it too. There go the blocky blocks. Now, so where I differ with Paul is, I'm not saying that I don't, even though I know it could be done manually, I think the terra firma, the firmament itself naturally does block out in chunks, like you said, nature. If it's just sitting in there and it's a vein of granite or whatever, and vibrations come along, or earthquakes or whatever those are, yeah, I think it can naturally block, because you're seeing when pressure is applied to it, like those videos I showed you with the press. It comes out, there goes more Niagara stuff, Fort Niagara. Now we get to, this is the spring on Goat Island. This picture right here is, Goat Island is right next to the falls. Let me show you that. Okay. Goat Island. Now, talking about giants, and speaking of, check out the stature of that man back there. Now, this could be a little boy. I don't really think so. Even if it is a little boy, this man looks like a giant. And this is Goat Island, this spring on Goat Island. I found this picture just perusing Niagara Falls. There goes the hydropower plant, newer one. So again, I'm building a, this picture is amazing. Portfolio for Niagara Falls. So stick with me on that one. And again, an analog for, this is showing how falls can be an analog for Jerusalem. And like I was talking about with Woody, this could be an ancient, buildings aside, let's pay attention to infrastructure or buried buildings or buried power plants. Pan Am Express aside. Old picture of the falls. There goes that escarpment I was talking about. Okay. Lockport Dolomite. That's what's breaking off on the American Falls, making fragments. This is what they're saying it is. And you have all these types of different rocks, and the Lockport Dolomite allegedly is harder, and it's the actual shale that's breaking off. So this is staying harder. So this is, again, the layers of time or layers of civilization. I don't know. I'm not making claims. It just looks like some of them are blocks, and we can actually see them. So I think the terra actually breaks off into them while it's in situ. And I also think that we could pour it and make it, and it could be giants. And we should be coming up to, look at this picture. That's the falls, cataracts of Niagara, and a whole bunch of beavers. What's going on there? Going from Beaver Island to the falls. This is a fitting picture, huh? So yeah, I have a lot of pictures here, and the falls used to freeze up every winter, and they would slide down it. There would be ice bridges. I can tell you that does not happen now. I know they divert more of the water, so that doesn't make sense to me. And we have stuff like this. Greatest engineering triumph of the age. We got bedrock delineated, the canal delineated, you got the tunnel. But what's interesting to me is, what's that? And what's that? That's the kind of gravy that I'd like to research for you. Underground. Lewiston Incline. Oh, you're going to be hearing my alarm until I sign out, unless you guys don't mind if I go like this. Slideshow. Wow, sorry about that. Okay, so that's Niagara Falls coming for you in the next couple. We got a camera obscura over there in Niagara Falls also. Okay, so without further ado, let's check out Giants. And I got most of these pictures from IG. If you follow me on IG, there's an Old World Research channel or profile. They show a lot of these types of old world pictures. Brunhilde, that's why I said Skull Odin. Wednesday is Odin's day, and Brunhilde is Odin's daughter. And Siegfried slayed the dragon for Brunhilde because she was worth it. Django Unchained reference for you. Now that's from one of my books right here. Book of Modern Marvels. Forgot that I'm not on screen. Yeah. My great-grandmother's. There definitely were giants, I believe. I have other books that... Here, actually, it should be coming up to the other one that I have. What happened to him, I don't know. Castle Garden. Check out the scale of that lady. That's a picture it's from. That's the actual full page from that one of my books. Everything else seems legit to scale, but the lady's scale herself is rather large, wouldn't you say? I'm not sure where they went, extinct or just maybe up in the mountains. But it appears that they were around 100. There you go. That's it. Shout out to Old World Research on IG. A lot of these pictures. So what we're going to get into right now, though, there you go. See the spring on Goat Island. There goes. That guy looks big to me in the background. What do you say? Crazy. Where did they go? Okay, so that's one of my books that I have. 1892 is the best copyright date that I can get. It's got page 80, Land of the Giants, and it talks about the Patagons. And you could pause this. I've done a video on it before, way back in the day. Pause it. Now, this book talks about how, well, everything else in the book shows natural, real things, not mythological creatures, like real animals. So why are they showing Patagons? Read that. It explains them. And there you go. One other thing I wanted to show you is you can look that book up on archive.org from allegedly the same date, but it's different. It's censored. Doesn't have the same. 95% of it is the same, but the name's exactly the same, the author. But when you get to that page, the pages that I have in my book, 82, 83, where it says the Patagons. Check this out. Okay, it goes from 79 to 80 to 83, where it's like in my books. Oh boy. It's 80, page 80, 81, 82. They're not in that on the one online. They're taken out. So it's like, what, the question is, why is that? I got a couple books that show allegedly Patagon giants. Now, I wanted to give a shout out to Paul, and we'll end on that. And my next one's going to be in fitting with Halloween. I don't want to balk on that one. I got it coming out soon. Gudelberg Cemetery. Going to do another reading from that Shadows of the Western Door. I got some gravy on that for sure. I got some pictures on boots on the ground there, but I'm going to go back with my brother-in-law. Fitting for Halloween. So let's end it on shout out to Paul Cook. Go check him out. Like, share, subscribe to him too. He's onto some stuff over in England.
Falls without water in 1969.
Oi, brother. Keep crushing.
And the water was diverted so engineers could strengthen certain areas and slow erosion. Incredible, eh? Let's have a look. Again, it's just block work. It's an ancient system. Block work. Look at the blocks that have fallen off. So they diverted the water to somewhere else. Incredible. But
real incredible. So check that out. Check his video out. And what they did actually is they divert it to the Canadian side. So they'll put like bulkheads or whatever right in here. They'll drive pylons into and divert that here. Stop it here. And the Canadian side can accept that. And there's also tunnels. They can open up the tunnels all the way. Motorcycles of Babylon. Gotta love them. Where are they? There's like intake. Here you go. There you go. Boom. These tunnels go feed the power source too. See, there's an old canal. Also, check out my playlist on making Legoliths. And we'll go to check out my number 5 was about Niagara Falls too. Bushwhacking number 5. I tell about that power station. Here we go. Also, come check out my IG. I got Odyssey back up, and I do a lot of... So my aim with my IG is like my research I parallel. Also, I like doing truth drops. From movies, motivational stuff, funny stuff. This is the Gabagool from Sopranos. This is Wag the Dog. Just, my personality comes out. So if you like my personality, what I do, come follow me. All right? And that's another Bushwhacking history with Berserker Bear in Buffalo. I will report back. Keep your faith up. Keep your heads up. And watch your 6. All right. Take care.